Hi y'all, I'm Jessica from Allrecipes.com. I'm here today with Ashlee Marie. We're going to be showing you how to make a couple of treats of Ashlee's from the October issue of the All Recipes magazine, and a couple of other fun, freaky treats for the whole family for the upcoming Halloween holiday. So what are we going to be making today?
Halloween's one of my favorites, so it's always a fun one to make treats for, and slightly spooky, slightly gory, but nothing too over the top because, you know, kids, it's a kid holiday.
Yeah.
So we're going to make some chocolate Halloween bark. We're also going to make some slimy popcorn. We're going to make some cupcakes because everyone loves cupcakes, with some edible glass shards and some blood.
I'm really excited about
And then
those.
finally, one of my favorites are my edible worms. Jello jiggler worms, basically, and they're super creepy and super awesome.
They look maybe a little too real, but so what are we going to get started with first?
We're going to start with the chocolate bark.
Okay, great.
All right. So for this, you want to use as many colors as you want of some chocolate. We're using 3 today. I always start with a good base of a chocolate. So we have this gorgeous chocolate that we've already melted, some orange. We're going to show you how to do that now with these green candy melts. So microwave those 1 minute.
Perfect.
Then we're going to give it a stir. Now, as you can see, this chocolate one right here is really nice and porous, but this orange one is actually a little bit thick. So there's a solution to that, and the solution for that is to add some oil. So right here we have some coconut oil, but any solid oil works really well. I use shortening, so just take like a little spoonful and add it.
Is that good?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
And then stir it. Now that chocolate will be warm, and so it'll just kind of melt that solid fat, and it will help you see how much smoother it is already?
It's a lot looser.
Yes.
I work with these all the time, and nobody's ever showed me this trick, so I'm really grateful. And we were talking...
well, what you don't want to do is add water.
Okay, yeah, that was the other thing. What other things do you not want to add to try and...
Because water will make it seize. So anything that's water-based is a big no-no, especially like if you want to, let's say you want to change the color a little bit, and you want to go with maybe a slightly darker orange or something. If you use water-based colors, that will also cause it to seize. You want to make sure you're using candy colors. Anything that's oil-based is great to use with these.
Okay.
All right.
Fantastic. Yeah, sounds like the green is ready
Give
to
the
come
green
out.
a stir. So sometimes it's melted in that first minute, and sometimes you need to keep heating it. And I recommend using your microwave for like 30 seconds at a time. If you did a whole minute again and it tended to overcook, there's nothing as bad as burnt chocolate. That's just, ugh.
It seizes up and it's harder to spread.
Oh, and it smells.
Yeah.
And the taste, of course, is totally ruined.
We might be okay with this one. I think, what do you think? Maybe 30 more seconds on this guy? 15?
Yeah, maybe just 15.
All right, sounds good.
And you definitely want to give it a chance. You want to stir it, not just that first initial stir and then throw it back in the microwave. You want to let that heat of the stuff that is melted kind of work on the little chunks that are left. So, you know, give yourself a little bit of time stirring that to see if it melts itself all of the way before you go heating more than you need to. Now, my microwave at home is awesome. It has a melt chocolate button. So if you have a microwave that has that, definitely recommend using that melt chocolate button. It's awesome.
Oh yeah, this definitely looks like it's good this time around. So we're probably going to need a little bit of oil in this one as well, right?
So that one looks thick. Normal chocolates tend to melt really beautifully, but the candy melts that are great because they're pre-colored, so you don't have to mess with any coloring, they do tend to be a little bit thicker. So you might even need to add
a little
more
bit more.
more than we did to the orange. All right.
Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Maybe a little bit more?
Yeah, I would probably go a little bit more. And I'm gonna add a little bit more to this orange as well. Thank you. And see how those little chunks that are left, whether you're using shortening or you're using that coconut oil or any other oil. In a pinch, I've even used like a kitchen cooking oil before. I recommend sticking to something that gets solid as it cools, like the shortening or coconut oil or something similar to that. All right, so mine's nice and smooth. How about yours?
Yeah, it's coming together pretty good.
All right, and here comes the fun. Now we're just gonna plop it down and try not to be organized in this. My little OCD heart tends to be like orange, green, orange, green. No, you just kind of want to plop away.
All over the place, right?
Yeah.
And it's fine if it touches. This is not
totally
about,
fine if it touches.
Okay, cool.
Little plops, big plops, it really doesn't matter. The more kind of, even these like little strands that we're getting, everything's great.
So what kinds of things do you use this bark for?
Oh, this is great because you can use it for every holiday, right? Red and green for Christmas, Valentine's, different shades of pink and red. And it's great just to eat. My kids just like it as a treat.
I almost got you on the wrist with this one.
That's all right. Yeah, I wash my hands so many times in the kitchen. I'm so messy, it's not even funny. But another thing is to add it to other treats, cupcakes, cakes. It's really popular these days to actually add big shards of this stuff as you break it up to the top of cakes. It's a really, really great effect.
That's actually, that's exactly what I was going to suggest. This is one of my
That's a favorite of yours.
To decorate cakes.
It dresses it up so easily without too much effort.
And it really lets you customize it because you can take the colors and themes. Like, you know, we have Halloween sprinkles. These are little skulls. We have ghosts, and you know, you can take whatever unicorns are on theme or whatever thing that the person who you're making the occasion cake for likes, and all their favorite colors. And I like to put it around the sides of my cake.
All right, now one of the mistakes commonly made is look at this, and right now you're going, it's not covering the pan, it's not enough, I need to add more, and you go and you melt more chocolate and you pour more, and then you end up with really thick bark. So the trick to getting this all spread out is to shake it really good. Go ahead, give it a good shake. It'll be noisy. Yep. Even more, a little jiggle back and forth. There you go.
It's kind of spreading out. There we go.
Well, and I tend to go a little bit crazy.
Okay.
Don't be afraid to kind of really be rough with this. And then the swirl.
This is the fun part.
It is the fun part. Grab the knife, have fun.
So just however you want, right?
Totally. And again, like when I said, don't try to be organized with plopping. Don't try to be organized with your swirling either. This is so much fun for my kids too. They just go nuts with this.
And then probably need to tap the pan again to get everything to even out.
Exactly. So don't be worried if you're moving around stuff too much, because yeah, we are just going to re-smooth it out. It's going to be awesome.
All right.
Perfect. And look how well that smooths out, right? All right, now we need to have some fun. Let's add some sprinkles to this.
I'm going to
grab some skulls.
Yeah.
I'm going to grab some bones. So something I learned watching cooking shows, because I'm a little obsessed with cooking shows, is sprinkling from high up. I always used to like plop it down, but sprinkling from high up actually like spreads it better. Did you know that? It's not just like for looks. I had no idea.
Where do you get your sprinkles? I love these.
I am kind of an Amazon freak. I love ordering things and having them show up 2 days later and not having to leave my house.
I'm the same way. And,
but Michael's, Joann's, Walmart, any of your local grocery stores, especially this time of year, should have them.
Yeah, great. I usually, sprinkles are something that I hoard.
I have a 12-gallon bucket at home, filled to the brim with all kinds of sprinkles, all colors, all holidays. Because, I mean, what's not to love about these fun mixes, but I also then have just green or just purple or just black, so I can create my own mixes as well.
Candy everywhere.
Pretty much.
So I'm sure you could do this with, like, if we want to get really, really naughty with our Halloween candy, I'm sure you could do this, like a colored bark with chopped up Halloween candy too, and sprinkles.
Yep.
If we're really trying to get rid of that Halloween candy.
Oh, totally. Making a good bark with chopped up candy bars is a great way to get rid of all that extra Halloween candy.
Excellent.
And something that I can easily hoard away from my kids. No, that candy's not for you. That's for the Halloween bark.
Nice.
I'll eat it all.
So after we get all the sprinkles on here.
Now you just want to let it set.
Okay, perfect.
And we have a finished one here. Movie magic. Now, if it's cool enough where you live, you can usually just break it apart, but ours is a little bit soft because it's kind of warm in here. It's a knife.
Awesome. So just any which way I decide to break this up?
Just kind of chop and have fun with it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it is a little warm. Normally,
if
it's nice and cool in the kitchen, yeah, it shatters, but we're gonna just take a couple of these pieces off and
give everybody a nice little shot.
Yeah. So while I'm cutting this guy up and getting it on a plate, what do we have coming up next?
All right, so now we're gonna make our edible glass and edible blood.
Yummy.
So, yes, very well. Right, edible blood, delicious. Of course, that's exactly what you think of when you think of deliciousness. All right, so to our pot, add some sugar.
Okay.
Some water. And then some corn syrup.
Perfect.
Now, what corn syrup does that's so great with candy making is it actually helps, this word's not stabilize. Great, now I'm having a brain fart. It helps keep it cohesive and it gives it a nice shine and gloss. I like to use cornstarch or corn syrup a lot with marshmallows and any kind of candy making and syrupy. So we're gonna turn this up to like medium, high, and don't forget to use a candy thermometer. That is key to all of this. And you just want to stir it until it's completely dissolved. All that sugar is dissolved, and then just kind of leave it to heat up. And this is going to take a little bit of time. So while I'm stirring this, keep an eye on it, you get to make the edible blood.
Okay, great.
So there's a lot of different ways that you can make edible blood. You're really looking for that consistency. I like to use things like buttermilk syrup or caramel syrup, my berry coulis, but today we're using corn syrup.
Okay, so that's what's already in here.
Yes, it's a great consistency for blood, and it couldn't be any easier because you don't have to make anything. So you have that. You're gonna need this red dye, and I prefer to use the gel dye because it's a lot stronger than like the more watery dyes. So go ahead and use that and give it a stir.
Okay, so just straight corn syrup and put the dye in until it's the color that you want it to be?
As bright as you want to go.
Okay.
And
so what other things have you used this? We're decorating cupcakes with the edible blood today, but what other kinds of treats?
When I was
looking on your page.
I have a lot of edible blood. I have a lot of treats that use edible blood. I have in the magazine, what we did was the walnut and blood mixture, and that's made with my caramel sauce. And you make the caramel sauce. Any caramel sauce that you like will work. You can do store-bought caramel sauce, or I have a great recipe on my website, and you add the red to it. You get it all bloody looking, and you can pour it on top of pretty much anything. I use donuts on my website. I think in the book, in the magazine, I think we did cupcakes or maybe cookies. You can also use it on ice cream. Maybe it was ice cream. I forget.
Well, we have the magazine right
here. Oh, perfect.
We have the Freaky Feast showing the Halloween bark that we just showed you guys how to make in the feature in the October issue of the Allrecipes magazine. We've got another page of these other treats. We definitely did Bloody Sundays.
Bloody Sundays. I knew it was something.
These are the rest of the treats that we have in the October issue.
I know, you just toast some walnuts and add it to that caramel sauce, and you can put it on top of anything, and then of course drizzle more gory blood to make it a nice sweet treat.
Great. So is this deep enough? Would you use more? I'm always, with food coloring, I'm always a little hesitant. I always feel like I use more than I should, and
I like things bright. I
do
tend
too.
to go heavy-handed.
Okay.
So I would probably use a little bit more. And then another trick is because the dye, it's kind of a bright red, right?
It looks thin. It doesn't look
and
real.
It looks a little bit more fluorescent-y than real blood is. So that is where this cocoa comes into play.
Okay.
Add a pinch of cocoa, add a little pinch more if you need more, and that adds a great depth, that brownness, to your blood. I use it in any of my blood recipes that are just a little bit too bright, right?
Yeah, definitely. It's like it's making it a little bit more opaque. Ew, it's getting kind of gross. But this is fun. Yeah, this is a great tip.
So a little bit of cocoa powder, who knew?
I'm gonna put a little bit more in there.
Well, and that is one of the best things about making things from scratch and from home is that you can personalize it. You can make it exactly how you want, exactly the look that you're going for. So more red dye, less red dye, more cocoa, less cocoa.
Ooh, yeah, that's looking right.
Oh, that looks good.
Yeah,
and the cocoa is so fine, it should dissolve really easily in that syrup.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's no clumps. It's very smooth. All right.
All right, so our blood is done.
Perfect.
Our syrup isn't quite there yet. I would say making this glass sugar candy takes about 15 minutes, so give yourself a little bit of time. Once it's done, you're gonna pour it out onto a silpat mat. And again, we already have a finished version, so we can skip ahead to that rather than continue to wait, because we're only at about 140 degrees right now.
And 300 is what you said?
300 is the goal that we're going for, but
before we grab that, I actually wanted to ask you this question. Do you calibrate your candy thermometer?
I do.
How do you do that?
I do. And this is really about where you live. Here in Seattle, we're not too far above sea level.
Right.
Because the sea's just right there.
You can't see it today, but it's behind us.
Yeah. Well, it's gray. And so California, the Oregon coast, anywhere on the East Coast, you're going to be just fine going directly to the 300 degrees.
Okay.
But what a lot of people don't know about candy making is that your elevation affects it a ton. So here, water boils. Oh, and of course now it's all flooded out of my brain, like 275 or something, 219, 299, water boils at 239 degrees, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Maybe we shouldn't have gotten into the science.
Anyway,
But
look it up
elevation
online.
can
Yeah,
affect it.
look
It
it up
can-
online. I have on my website. I talk about it a lot. But what you want to do is you want to take a pot of water and boil it with your candy thermometer
Okay.
and see where water boils.
Okay.
And then compare what your candyometer says to what like sea level water boiling on the internet says.
Okay.
And adjust it to that.
Okay,
so
great.
where I live up in Salt Lake, it's so high that it's actually a 20-degree difference.
Wow,
So
that's and for
it's a
candy,
huge
so
difference.
temperamental, right?
Candy's so temperamental.
It can totally change the outcome.
So
of
if you're
your final
making
product.
toffee or this or anything else and you're finding that it's ending up too grainy or it's not getting hard or it's getting too hard, that's probably why. It's probably all about your elevation and you're probably cooking to the wrong temperature. So
Okay.
definitely important.
We're starting to bubble up
We
now.
are.
So we're a little bit over
Woo-hoo.
200, but.
And right now it's still really liquidy, but as this gets to the right temperature, it'll get nice and thick. And it'll even start to yellow a little bit. That's another trick with candy making. If you use just water from your tap, you might get a little bit of yellowing in your candy, and we're going for clear, so that's kind of a big deal. So I recommend using distilled water.
Okay.
Yeah, you can
Great.
just pick it up at your grocery store. Super easy and super cheap.
So we want to go ahead and
Yes.
grab the stuff that we already have that's finished.
Just do that. Oh, look
Looks
how
great.
pretty.
Ta-da!
Can you see that shine?
Yeah, that looks great.
Nice and smooth. All right, and this is the fun part. We get to break it, and you see it can just peels off this big, huge
And I see
sheet
what you
of edible
mean
glass.
about a little bit of color in there.
Yeah.
But it still looks pretty clear.
Oh, it does.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
and
great.
depending on what you pour it on, so we have a little bit. I don't know if you can see that. We have a little bit of texture to this, and that's from using the Silpat mat. Yeah. Which works out great for a lot of things. My bloody glass slides, I
Oh,
really
yeah.
like the texture of the Silpat mat, but if you're going for perfectly smooth, consider using like parchment paper or something that's not going to give it texture. So
Okay.
usually just hold one side and smash it. So
Oh,
go
you're
for
gonna
it.
let me do
You
it.
get to break it. Woo!
That was actually really fun. Like
Right?
a real
Kinda
piece of
satisfying.
glass. Yeah, totally. So I'm just gonna drop these and break
And
into
like
the
real
slices.
glass, it does get really sharp. So this is one of those areas, while I let my kids do a lot of this, I would definitely be a little more careful with this.
All right, so we're just gonna take these cupcakes.
Yeah.
And we're gonna take some of these
Mm-hmm.
pieces of glass and just stick them in on the top, huh?
Yep. Shove them right in.
This is super fun.
There's something satisfying about it, right?
So I'm not really big on Halloween, but I am big on like theme parties and entertaining. And back in the day when Dexter
Uh-huh. Oh,
was
yeah.
on event television has always been a big entertaining event at my house.
Yeah.
All my friends know
Viewing
that
parties.
Yeah.
And yeah.
it's
I
Game
totally
of
love
Thrones
that.
now, but anyway,
There's a lot of
True
blood in that one.
was another show where I never went this route, but I'm wishing I had
You
these
had.
skills in my back pocket so I could have had these.
Maybe for like the
Um,
10-year anniversary.
I
Have
like
a big
it.
party, right?
Or, you know, I haven't done a Dexter binge in a while. Maybe we need to
There you
make
go.
that
Well, and that's the
happen.
best part about all
And
those,
do
you know.
slides. And I will do
Oh, the bloody
slides on that
slides are
one.
perfect for that.
Oh, you're
I
giving
get a
me
lot of
some
comments on my
dangerous
blog about
ideas.
Dexter and the bloody slides, for sure.
These look great.
All right. So
Oh, we got one more
now,
in front.
now you want a way to be able to pour your blood that's easy. I use a lot of piping bags. You can use a spoon, but it's kind of hard to control a spoon. So if there's anything that you have that has a nice little spout to it, I recommend using that, because that will give you a little bit more control. I've even gone so far as to use an eyedropper to get it exactly where I want it. But that's my OCD speaking, and you probably don't have that issue.
I have a little, like an empty ketchup bottle
Yeah,
that I use
little
for,
condiment bottles are
yeah,
perfect
for
for
dripping
that.
ganache, for doing this kind of stuff. You're letting me do all the fun stuff.
I get to do this all the time.
This is great. Woo! This is super fun.
Well, and it slides right down all of that glass, and it just creates a really fun look.
This is so creepy looking.
And you really can't go wrong with it.
It is so thick. The cocoa really does give that depth of dimension that you were talking
You
about.
would never
and-
have guessed that it was just a simple syrup like that.
And I am confident that this tastes good too. I mean, it's sugar and cocoa.
It's
It's not. I get a little weirded out by some of the like prop foods. You know, we were talking about this sometimes when people want fun, funky treats like this made. Some of the engineering that goes behind it isn't always totally delicious, but these might not look as appetizing with blood, but
you could even go to the point
yummy.
with the corn syrup that you can even add some flavor to it. You can add use candy oil flavoring, and if you wanted it to be more than just a sugar, you can even do that with the glass as well.
Okay.
The sugar glass, because that's all it is just a sucker. And so if you want to add some, I've done cinnamon in the past, any flavor. This is a red velvet cupcake with a cream cheese frosting, so you know, stick with something you think would work well with that.
Or like coloring in the glasswork as
You
well.
could also color in the glass, yeah.
I can think of some other themed parties.
Well, with edible
glass.
glass, I've even made homemade mirrors, edible mirrors. You know, so there's a lot that you can do with this recipe beyond just the clear glass.
Great. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. So what's next?
Next, we are going to make these slimy popcorn. So if you want to bring that tray over, I'll get this ready to go. Okay. So we're going to take the butter.
All right, and that's half a stick. Was that a?
Looks like 4 tablespoons, yeah.
4 tablespoons.
I don't have all my recipes memorized. It's like being a pop star and forgetting the words of my song, right? Burrito! Burrito! So, and then brown sugar.
Great.
And we're going to stir that and melt it together. And what we're trying to do here is to get that brown sugar to completely dissolve. Now you can use white sugar if you prefer that flavor. I just love the depth of flavor in brown sugar. I use it in my caramels and my caramel sauces. There's just something about it.
With brown sugar, I also like to use browned butter. That's something else.
Yes.
Yeah, that you could probably do
yes,
here.
you could totally brown the butter first for another
maybe,
nutty flavor to this.
Yeah, a little more grown up. You know, like if I'm not sure how kids are gonna feel about a brown butter slime popcorn,
Hey,
but
my kids eat it.
oh yeah, great.
I like brown butter madeleines.
Brown butter's just my favorite. I keep at least a couple of sticks brown for baking.
Perfect.
Substitute it in. Great. So this is getting a little bit.
We don't want to heat this one too high. You want to do this more around medium or medium low, because we're going to add the marshmallows next, and you don't want to necessarily speed through this because it's a little bit more sensitive.
Yeah.
Right,
So the butter's almost all the
longer.
way melted. The sugar doesn't look totally dissolved yet, so we want to just wait a couple more.
A little bit more. And the sugar will continue to dissolve and heat as we go with marshmallows. Now you can use large marshmallows or soft marshmallows. And once this is done, you can stir it completely smooth, or you can leave, I like to leave the little chunks, little slimy marshmallow chunks in there. But that's just me.
All right.
All right, that looks
we
good.
should be
Whoop. 5-second rule.
good. Get them all in there. Cool. So, yeah, you mentioned this is very much like Rice Krispies. You just want to get everything melted together and smooth. So this might take a minute.
Just a little minute.
So for the popcorn,
Yes.
we have a couple of amounts set aside. So we want the ratio to be exactly right. We don't want it to be too wet. We don't want it to be...
It's actually one of those areas where it's really flexible.
Okay.
So I like mine a little bit more slimy, and so I do a little less popcorn, more like about 10 cups. But if you're looking for less of a mess, then I suggest going with like 12 cups. You can actually just pop a bag of the plain popcorn from the store, and that's about the right amount. I have an air popper that I love. Here we use one of those fantastic stovetop poppers that I think I need now, because I don't have enough kitchen toys. I need a new one.
It's the kitchen toys, it's the tools, it's
I have so many kitchen toys.
it's all the sprinkles. I've been cleaning out my kitchen recently and trying to decide, what do I have that is a dual function? What do I have?
Yeah.
Trying to condense, but I still can't stop myself from buying the new stuff too.
My original instructor for cake decorating, she actually would only buy a specialty cake pan, those ones that are already pre-shaped as something like a rocket ship, if she could think of a couple different uses for it, because otherwise why buy it for just one thing? And I thought, oh, that's so smart, and I never do that.
Yeah,
I need that one thing.
What's
one thing only?
So what's the one thing in your kitchen that you would say is the most like one purpose, like one shot only kind of?
One shot only. That's like really good. I thought you were gonna. I totally had the answer for what do you use the most.
What do you use the most?
I thought that's what you were going for.
Oh, my chef knife and my chef knife is probably like
You're all
is
everything that you need.
Is everything I need. If I have that, then I can kind of like
do anything. Mine's Vera. My mixer.
Okay.
I name all of my tools.
You named your mixer.
If
I
they're
love
handy,
it.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to go back. My KitchenAid changed my life.
Mixer, right?
Baking. It changed my life.
Yeah, in the kitchen, there's not much better than a really good, strong KitchenAid. I'm a Bosch Universal Mixer.
Okay.
But yeah, mixer for sure. But I thought of one for the other answer.
Yeah.
Like a one thing only, and that is my cheese knife. It's really only good for one thing, and it's amazing. I'm like, why would I ever buy just a cheese knife? Why can't you use a normal knife? It's amazing. It's been life changing.
Well then,
I love
it's
cheese.
one worth. Well, it sounds like it's an investment. It's an investment worth having then.
I will say it works really good on cutting potatoes as well. Anything that kind of sticks together. But yeah.
Nice.
I
We're
think
almost
turn
there.
this heat up just a little bit.
We're almost
it's
there.
taking
It's
a little
starting
longer
to get
than
a
it usually
little
does.
stretchy, but these are still mostly whole marshmallows. So
We don't want whole marshmallows.
yeah, we're gonna keep stirring. I was gonna say one of the first things that I bought for my kitchen was a waffle maker.
Mm-hmm.
I never had made a waffle before in my life.
They
I don't
just
know
sounded
why.
good one day.
Well, it's just like, this is something I have to have. I had a gift certificate from a kitchen supply store that was for exactly the amount that waffle maker was for, and I guess I thought it was, had to be fate. And it sat in my pantry for literally months before I ever touched it. But now I use it kind of like a panini press. I will press grilled cheese sandwiches in there. I saw another.
Hey, using waffle irons for food right now is pretty hot.
There's
a lot of options.
I was gonna say there was another video I saw from the social feeds where it was a potato, they used tater tots in the waffle iron.
Yep.
And made kind of like a baked potato.
It's a little messy, but it works.
It was very messy when I tried it at home. I used hash browns instead.
I was trying to be kind.
There were shredded potatoes all over my kitchen. But what do you think? Still a little meltier?
Yeah, we still need to get a little bit meltier. I think it's because we're using the small burner. But I was trying to dual purpose the burner.
I think we're okay.
Well, I own 5 waffle makers.
And what do you use? What are all of the applications for these waffle makers?
Well, I have the original one.
Okay.
Right, the normal cooktop one that I use for breakfast waffles.
Okay.
And then I have a stovetop waffle maker that I use for my liege waffles because they get really messy, that sugary, crunchy outside of the waffles. So I want to be able to take it apart and wash it easier. So I have the stovetop one. Then I have the Mickey Mouse shaped ones. Got that as a gift.
There's no substitute for a Mickey Mouse waffle maker.
They're awesome. And now I have 5 kids. I have a large family, so I have the big, massive
a waffle maker for every child.
8 person. I do have. I have the big, enough to feed an army waffle maker.
Amazing.
So yeah.
This looks like we're getting there.
We are. We're almost done.
Okay.
We want some of those big chunks just a little bit smaller. Now notice this is a little bit darker than the classic, making Rice Krispie treats, and that's because that uses regular white sugar. So the only difference if you're using brown sugar is that it will affect the color. So if you're going through pure white, then stick with the white sugar. But because we're going to color this, in fact, now is a great time to add that color while you're kind of in the final throes of stirring. And I like to use this avocado green, but any green will work.
So it was like 5 or 6 drops?
I just eyeball it. You can always add more.
Yeah, definitely.
Give it a good squeeze.
Yeah. It's looking good. It's looking about the color of the finished ones we've got in front of us. It is. Maybe a couple more drops?
Sure.
Really creepy green.
All right.
There we go. Okay. So
and again, I like to use the gel because I like how much stronger it is. You have to use a lot less than when you're going with the super liquidy dyes. All right, let's bring the popcorn over.
Okay. Let me,
grab a paper towel.
Yeah.
Get blood everywhere.
Blood. Oh, that didn't work.
Maybe some water.
Here we go. That works.
All right. Now this is really messy and really sticky. So do you want to stir? Well, I pour. So if you wait until the very end and you do all the stirring after you've kind of poured it, it gets a little bit hard to stir it all together.
Ooh, yeah, it's already starting to stick. And it's already nice and stretchy.
Right. Those stretchy strands are what it's all about.
Yes. Super fun.
And if you need, you can always add a little bit more popcorn. You can use a little bit less of the sauce, so you can kind of eyeball this until you're happy with it. I've got a little bit left. You want it?
Yeah, let's do that. There's still a little dry pocket over here in the back. Interesting you chose the expression eyeball it. What else are we going to do to this popcorn?
Once you have this all stirred up, we're going to add candy eyeballs. That's what
Yes.
makes this the slime monster.
And this stringy, slimy effect here is best when it's warm, right?
Well, not necessarily warm, but best when it's fresh.
Fresh. Okay.
Yeah, I usually make this about 10 minutes before the party or whatever, and it does stay for a couple of hours, that nice, stretchy, ooey gooey. But by the next day, it's not going to be quite as fun to play with, although it'll still be totally delicious.
Okay, great. I think we're all mixed up here.
All right, and here are our eyeballs. And there's a bunch of sizes and shapes of candy eyeballs now, which I love. You can actually play with this and have the big eyeballs and the little eyeballs and the mini eyeballs. Let's take that out. And there you go. Candy eyeballs are a little crunchy, but they're basically just sugar.
Yeah. Great.
All right. What do you think?
Very good.
Right?
And they are crunchy, the eyeballs are. I love marshmallow, anything. I've made this popcorn without the slime.
Without the green?
Without the green. Can I get you a paper towel?
I think I'm still okay.
Cool.
Amazingly.
What's next?
All right, now it's time for our final recipe, and that is the worms.
Great. What can I grab for you?
Bring all this over. I do have a sticky thumb.
So we're starting with the grapefruit juice.
Yes.
How much should I measure out?
I would do 2 cups to get started.
Okay.
Now you can actually use any kind of juice for this recipe. You're just looking for this color, more of like a
Flesh. Pinky.
yeah. I was going to use the word pinkish, kind of salmony maybe. But yeah, you want to measure about 2 cups.
There we go. 2
And
cups of grapefruit juice.
Then you're going to whisk in the gelatin.
This is
And
the
I would
gelatin,
whisk
right?
while you're pouring, otherwise you're going to get some gelatin chunks if you just pour it all in at once, because that liquid kind of seals around it. So stir and pour.
Alrighty.
Perfect.
And this was 4 packets of gelatin, right?
4 packets of gelatin.
So that's like, was it 1.5 ounces a packet?
Now you're asking me to remember things again.
Sorry.
I don't
4
remember.
packets.
I think
That's
each
all we need
packet's
to
like
know.
a teaspoon and a quarter,
Something
maybe.
like that.
Anyway.
Okay.
And then you want to let
Gelatin's
it sit for a couple of minutes, and it
Okay.
will get kind of applesaucy. It's not going to, as the gelatin blooms, that's the fancy word for it. It's not going to get completely solid like some recipes will get because we just have so much
Too much
liquid.
liquid.
So you're kind of looking for an applesauce texture to this.
Okay.
But yeah, and if you have, I've seen these worms done in like a dark maroon color and a lot of other stuff. So really anything that you feel is wormish, go for it. Now I use regular straws for this. But I have had quite a few suggestions from my readers about using like the milkshake straws and getting, instead of making it wormy, making it look more brain-like. So
Like the big fat
straws, yeah. So that's another option as well. Anything that these will set in, this will work for, because basically it's just a giant Jello jiggler, and the straws are just simply creating the shape that we're looking for. In this case, worms. All right, how's that looking?
It's still pretty liquidy.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and microwave it now.
Okay.
Magic
Cool.
of television.
Yes.
We have a finished version later. So you want to microwave it for about a minute. You want to make sure all of the gelatin completely dissolves. So
Okay.
high for 1 minute is what's worked for me.
Perfect.
Of course, if your microwave is a little bit weak, you might need to do like 1.5 minutes. But there's no need to go super hot. You don't need to like boil this or anything. Just warm enough that the gelatin completely dissolves.
And so while we're getting that heated up, there was some other prep for the straws that you mentioned. So this is a whole box of
Yeah, this is like
expandable
100 straws. I like to get the expandable ones, and here we have some. Because the reason that you want that is this little part right here, that's going to be our worm neck. Just open them up. And that's going to give a nice little detail to our Jello worms.
Great. And then they have to go down.
Yes.
Yeah. The little accordion we want to go down.
So tips on the container that you want to use. We're going to make 4 cups of liquid. And so you want something that holds 4 cups of liquid. Now, I actually originally tried this in like a mason jar. And I stuck all the straws in and I made it. And the next day when it was all set, I'm like, how do I get it out? I didn't get gelatin out of the mason jar. So it was kind of a fail. So I recommend something.
These project engineering. The engineering is the biggest challenge sometimes.
I recommend something you can rip off the final product rather than try to plop it out of something, because it is fully shaped and it is then hard to pull out. So just anything that's like 4 cups of, and this is food grade because it used to be whipping cream. So anything like that in this shape is going to be your best bet. All right,
Cool.
now you want to add the sugar.
Cool.
And give that a stir until it's dissolved.
All right.
And it shouldn't take very long because it's now nice and warm.
Yeah, I think that's probably good.
And then we want to add more of the grapefruit juice.
Oh, right.
So I use 2 different measurements of the grapefruit juice, the 2 cups to begin with, and then this is refrigerated, so 2 cups of cool. And that's simply to just help it cool down faster. If you want, you can pour the full cups in originally and then heat it, but that's just a lot to heat and then it takes longer to cool. So this is kind of my little tip for cheating when it comes
Shortcutting the cool
yeah, shortcutting that quickly getting it down to cool.
Alrighty.
All right, so this is kind of, you know, a lovely color, and we're gonna make it even prettier now. And because we want these worms to not be, you know, clear in any way, shape, or form, so we're gonna add some white icing color. There's a couple different brands that make it. It's originally made to help your frosting be even whiter. So you're gonna add about half a teaspoon, so quite a lot.
Quite
So
a
go
lot,
for
more
it.
than that. Okay.
More than that, yeah.
I'm so timid with the food coloring. I think.
We're getting close to the end.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. But see, it changed it quite a bit, right?
Yeah, pretty fleshy.
Well, to me, it's still a little bit on the pink side.
Okay.
So think of your color wheel. This is where, you know, the art classes come in handy. And in order to kind of pull back away a little ways from that pinky color, I add little itty bitty slight amount of green.
Okay.
Too much and you're gonna really nasty this up.
So the green food coloring is back here.
Yes. And grab one of those toothpicks.
So like barely teeny tiny.
Yeah. Like half a drop.
So if I can get one out of here.
Oh,
There we go.
smart doing it over there.
Yep. On the paper.
Then just stir it in.
Oh yeah. Maybe a little bit more.
I think that looks good, but
think that looks good?
stir it
Okay.
up all the way and see. Maybe a little bit more.
Maybe a little bit more. Alrighty.
It's kind of hard to see the effect, but when you're making it at home, you'll get it. You'll be like, oh, I totally see it. That makes a big difference.
Oh yeah.
Right? Isn't that better?
Yeah, it gives it a little bit more yellow, like a yellow undertone balance.
Yeah. All right, and now we're just going to pour it right into our container.
Okay, so just right in here into the top.
Yep.
All right. Woo. So not all of the gelatin is obviously getting aimed perfectly in between.
No, it all is just going to float up between the straws. You don't need to worry about it.
Okay, perfect. Woo.
It can be a little bit messy playing
Yeah.
with Halloween food.
They're kind of, some of them are filling up faster and they're
It'll
back at
all
me.
even out. Liquid does that.
Yes, it
Liquid
does.
all evens out.
great. So once these are all filled up and all the liquid is down here in this
Here.
container.
You just try pouring it right
Yeah,
there.
okay, great. I'm trying to pour it through on the top.
Then you're
Once
just
we
going to
get
want
this
to
all
refrigerate
filled
it.
up, for how long does it need to sit?
I do it for like a whole day.
Okay,
You could just do it overnight though.
got it.
But you definitely don't want to try to pull this out when it's any chance of it not being 100% set.
Great. So this would go in the refrigerator.
Yes, and make sure that when you put it in the refrigerator, you don't necessarily put it right in the front where somebody could knock it over. I like to make a nice little place in the back where it's safe, because there's not a lot worse than cleaning up a gelatiny mess that's poured all over your fridge.
Right.
And I know that because I've done it.
Yeah.
It's really bad.
Yeah, especially when it sets there on the drawers,
glass.
On
Yes.
the glass, yeah. So we have the finished one.
We
right
sure
here.
do.
So, like you were saying, you can't get the
Can't just
gelatin
pull
out
it
of the
out.
mason jar. So we got to just tear into this, right?
Just rip it. Kind of like breaking the glass. Perfect. See your muscles.
A little tough. I think we can kind of jimmy the rest of this out of here. Maybe.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. Well, anyway. We want to separate these.
Yep.
There we
You'd
go.
think.
All
Now you
the
can
way
see how
down.
hard it was to get it out of the glass container.
Yeah, I can't imagine. There we go. A big block
Yep.
of gooey worms ready
Kind of
to
disgusting.
come out.
Now, if we tried to just, so I actually made like 5 batches of this trying to figure out, okay, now what? How do you get it out? A little bit tricky. So what I ended up doing was, it takes a little time, but separating all the straws and kind of cleaning off that excess and just making a pile. So we'll just do a couple here. And all of this extra pile, my kids ate, but I just would toss it.
So we got a handful of these cleaned up.
Yes. Now, you can start getting them out just as it is right now, but sometimes they would stick, and I actually found that the best luck I had was running it under some warm water for about 30 seconds, and what that kind of did was almost remelt the outside of that gelatin and make it nice and smooth, so it came out a lot easier. So I'll rinse a couple of these real fast.
Great. Yeah, this is the only real dirty work. Getting our hands dirty.
Which is why we saved it for last.
Exactly. I'm going to just set this guy
All right, just waiting for the water to get warm enough.
to the side. Do we want to roll these out just on the countertop?
Yeah, that'll work just fine.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Okay, so once the water is warm, there you go. Here, I'll rinse those real fast.
Alrighty.
And the rolling pin is right there.
So it doesn't matter which end you start from?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
You want to start from the end that's more empty, where the top of the thing was.
So we had the accordion ends
Oh.
down in the bottom. Oh, there.
They just fell out. I waited a little too long in that warm water.
We had, some of them are just falling right out. over
Yep, we have
the
a sink full of worms.
Okay, so I'm just gonna take this rolling pin and roll it from one side to the other, and they should shoot out. This isn't working so well on this one.
Well, what you want to make sure you do is not just squish the worms.
Okay. That didn't work out so well. We might have to do this one.
Let's try this again.
Okay.
I'll try not to heat them up too long.
Trial and error. That's what a lot of home cooking is about. And these are so slippery, I literally can't get it off the
Pretty
counter. All right.
All right. So you want to make sure that you start on your empty side so that you have something to push against.
And they squish out the other end.
It looks
working
like
a
I
lot
had
better.
3 that didn't work on me. Because once you just start squishing over the top of them,
Yeah.
it just destroys them.
Got it.
All right. So there we go. Fleshy little worms.
They taste like grapefruit juice.
Tastes like grapefruit juice.
So we would just continue to clean these off,
Yep.
warm them up, roll them out.
Let's get a couple more
a
out
couple
for
more.
you.
I'm gonna keep cleaning these up. So where would you put this if you were having a Halloween party? Would
I
this
just
be
put
like-
it in a bowl
Yeah.
and leave it right up front.
Okay.
All right, you want to try another one?
Sure. So get my rolling pin started, pressed on the empty end, and then just roll it down. Oh, this is working so much better already.
Good. It does take a little bit of kind of getting a feel for it.
Yeah, this is the fun part. Do your kids help you with this part?
They do.
Yeah, this is fun. Woo!
Right?
Yes.
if you can get it off the counter.
Yeah.
Well, and I would recommend using a regular rolling pin if you can, just because it's going to have that full length that's going to be touching the counter. Because you're getting this curved rolling pin, I think that it's affecting those outer edged ones.
Yeah, maybe you're right.
There they all go.
Working so much better. Ooh.
Isn't that fun to watch?
This is super fun to watch and to do.
And I usually roll it right until like the last half inch, and then that kind of will help me pick up the straws and be able to grab it rather than try to scrape them off the counter.
Slippery little suckers.
All right.
I might not be able to pick this last one up. Okay, so we had saved a little bit of our blood just to drizzle over these.
Well, because half the fun of these is simply playing with them, right? It always grosses people out. But yeah, adding a little bit of the edible blood to it for a really gross treat.
And this is getting a little thicker. Our video crew has really big grins on their faces looking at this.
Looks awesome.
It looks awesome. It looks really creepy. It
Really,
looks great.
yeah.
Yeah. Fantastic. So here we go. We had the Halloween bark. We had the edible glass and edible blood on our red velvet bloody broken glass cupcakes, our slime popcorn, and our edible earthworms with corn syrup blood. So yeah, as I mentioned, these recipes are in the October issue of the Allrecipes magazine. A couple more of them you can find on Ashlee's blog
my website,
and
yeah.
website, YouTube, Instagram. A really cool, she's got a really cool shot of the worms coming out on one of her last Instagram posts. So anyway, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Clear?
Starts to feel like tour guide Barbie, right? Oh, my mouth
That's
hurts
what
from
my-
smiling too much.
Sorry if I cut that too quick.
Oh.
At the end.
No questions.
I got
No,
a little
well-
nervous and just,
It's hard to know, well, especially since we weren't getting any questions.
that's
Yeah, they're
the
lovely.
first time.
Well, we just got a question now, of course.